Hi everyone, welcome to the ElectricmotorGP show. My name is Nia Adeleke, I'm your usual host, and today I've got a very good video for you. This video happens to be one that I've been planning for about 2 or 3 months, and I will explain to you why I say I've been planning this video for about 2 or 3 months. You know very well that I said I was creating a list of 4 or 5 cars that I desperately wanted to try and make up my mind which car I was going to get. So my short list was the Sea Lion 7, the X-Men G6, which you know that I absolutely love, the Zeekr 7X, the EO7, and the IM6. Those are the 5 cars on my short list. And because I'm more of a performance guy, the X-Men G6 had to drop slightly. Guys, if you're watching, I've said this before, I've said this to Jason and Jackie. Look, at some point, you've got to give us a performance car. X-Men, pretty please. I had to bump it down. But because not everyone's going to be like me, and not everyone's going to be obsessed about having a performance car, I've decided to split the video into 2 segments. I'm going to do the base model of the car that I think fit this segment, and unfortunately I'm going to take the EO7 out of this rotation. I do apologize to fans of the EO7. I technically should leave it in, but because I wanted something that fits into the D segment completely, I'm taking the EO7 out. And I'm adding in the Tesla Model Y into this analysis simply because it's the benchmark for this segment. Now, unless you're living under a rock, you'll know that the Tesla Model Y has been the most successful EV car through consecutive years. No question. It is arguably the most successful car on the planet, period. Arguably. I think last year, it got outsold by Toyota RAV4 by 10,000 units or something like that. In my book, it's still so. If you now have a game changer like the IM6 and the Zeekr 7X coming into play, and you're then trying to make a choice, it's important to see what else is available in this particular segment, and it's important to see where the competition lies. Now, I'm going to say with a caveat, I've done this analysis based on the Xpeng G6 2024 version, not the 2025 version. My caveat is you can only get it in specific markets at the moment, and we don't have it in Australia. And I know in Europe you already have the 2025 version, but because we don't have it here, I'm not going to do the analysis on the 2025 version. I will, however, make comments as to what it's got so you can understand the comparison a little bit better. I will do that so that you guys don't feel left out. Let's start with my favorite bit. You can say it's not your favorite bit, but it's one of mine. I love the acceleration of the cars. And the cars we're going to be looking at will be the Zeekr 7X, the Tesla Model Y, the Xpeng G6, the BYD Sea Lion 7, the IM6, those 5. Acceleration-wise, 0 to 100 kilometers in the Zeekr 7X is 6 seconds. On the BYD Sea Lion 7, on the base model is 6.7 seconds. Tesla Model Y is 5.9. The Xpeng G6 is 6.6. And the IM6 is 6.8. Why is this important? Not for a lot of people. But like I said, I'm more of a performance guy, so I want to know exactly what it is going on. Right, so when we're talking about the acceleration, we've got to talk about what the electric motors are and the powertrain. So all the cars in this segment are single motors, rear wheel drive, all of them. The rear wheel drive means that the handling is better, and that's one of the reasons why all the cars at the top end of this segment are rear wheel drive. Now you have other cars that are cheaper in this segment as well who are front wheel drive, and being front wheel drive means that the handling is not as good as it should be. So let's start with the Zeekr 7X. The Zeekr 7X has got a 310 kilowatt electric motor, which then means its acceleration 0 to 100 in 6 seconds. The BYD has got a 230 kilowatt electric motor, which then gives it 6.7. The Tesla's got a 230 kilowatt, which then gives it the 5.9 seconds. The Xpeng G6 has got 190. It's the weakest of all of them in there, and that gives it a 6.6. And the IM6 has got 217 kilowatts, which then gives it 6.7. But it's a heavier car than the other cars, which is the reason why its acceleration is slightly below. Slightly. Batteries. So I said I was going to talk to you about the batteries specifically because I wanted you to understand that the batteries also has something to do with the weight and the efficiency. And if you're a Tesla fan, you'll understand that Tesla's efficiency when it comes to batteries is one of the reasons why it's probably always going to be one of the best cars in the world, because its efficiency is probably best in class. The Zeekr 7X comes in with a 75 kilowatt hour battery. It's the Golden Brick battery, LFP battery. It's the one that's capable of charging 475, 0 to 100, 10 to 80% in 10 minutes if you can get a 500 volt or 500 kilowatt hour charger. Australia doesn't have any. So the UK is beginning to roll out some. A lot of guys in Europe, you guys are very, very lucky. Germany, Norway, Sweden, lots of 500 kilowatt hour chargers available now. So you guys will probably be able to do the fast charging in this car in 10 minutes. But for Australia, we're still stuck with 350 up until 2026, when I've heard that Xpeng and BYD are likely to roll out their own chargers here. And there's another, well, I'm not allowed to give you that information, so I'm not going to go. I don't want to get into trouble. So 75 kilowatt hour Golden Brick battery. BYD comes with an 82 kilowatt hour battery, but the BYD is heavy. And therefore, when you're talking about the range in all of the cars, you find that the most efficient of all the cars here is the Tesla. It's a 66 kilowatt hour battery, but you only have access to 60. It does a 6 kilowatt hour reserve, which means when the battery does tell you 0, you could probably still do about 20 to 30 miles, which is roughly about 40 to 50 kilometers extra, which is one of the things I like about the Tesla. So the Tesla can do 466 kilometers on a 60 kilowatt hour battery. The Zeekr 7X on a 75 kilowatt hour battery will do 480. The BYD Sea Lion 7 will do 482 kilowatts on an 82 kilowatt hour battery. The Xpeng G6 on a 66 kilowatt hour battery will do 435, so it's got the lowest range in this segment. And the 75 kilowatt hour battery on the IM6, you get 450, which is not best in class, but which is probably very impressive as well. Architecture. I say this all the time. If you're going to buy a car, think about the architecture. But if you're going to be driving predominantly in the city, you're not going to be doing a lot of long distance, and you're going to be charging at home, then architecture is not really as important for you. I say architecture because I keep talking about future proofing. It's very easy for your car to become obsolete within the next 5 to 6 years, because by that time, I fully expect the 800 volt architecture to become the industry standard. For now, because Tesla is still using the 400 volt, lots of people are believing they can get away with the 400 volt. So 2 cars in this segment are 400 volt architecture. 2 cars in the selection I brought forward. So the Sea Lion 7 is a 400 volt architecture, which has got a max charging speed of 150. The Tesla Model Y is a 400 volt architecture as well, but it can do peaks of 170 and it can maintain better at 150. So I've got to be honest with you, the charging curve of the Tesla model, of the BYD Sea Lion 7 is flatter than the charging curve of the Tesla Model Y. But they're both capable of 150 to 170. The Zeekr 7X has got the Golden Brick battery. It's got the best charging curve and the fastest charging here. Simple. No competition. It's capable of 475 kilowatts based on the 800 volt architecture. Now, the next best on this list is the Xpeng G6. Now, for you guys in Europe that are getting the 2025 model of this, you are using the CATL version, which is almost at par with the golden brick battery. It's LFP as well. And you now have a 70 kilowatt hour battery, but you've got 66 kilowatts usable. And the new battery is capable of charging at 5C, which means it does 10 to 80% in 12 minutes. In the 350, 360, it does it in 13. So therefore, you guys have got the better battery on the market right now, LFP. But based on what is available in Australia right now, the best LFP battery that you can get is the Golden Brick battery, and that is what is in the Zeekr 7X. What else does the base model of the Zeekr 7X get points for? I said the 800 volt architecture. I ended the video that I did on the launch of the Zeekr 7X in Australia on the AC charging, because it gets the 22 kilowatt AC charging. And none of the other cars, none. And I'm struggling to remember any car in the D segment that's got a 22 kilowatt hour AC charging. So therefore, the Zeekr 7X probably has one of the best charging infrastructures of all the cars in this segment, which is the reason why everyone, and I mean everyone, has been eagerly anticipating the launch of this car. Now, you'll find the Europeans will do things, and they do this a lot, and I find it really, really annoying. They try to diminish other cars that are not coming out of Europe, though the handling is this. Nah, for most people, when you drive the car, very, very rarely would you say, I'm not impressed with the car because of this. No, this car does what it's supposed. It does what it says on the tin. The other thing that this car does better than all the other things, which I haven't brought up, and I will go to because this one's more of a deep dive, has to do with the ADAS system, but I'll come back to that. So 22 kilowatt hour AC charging. Every other car on this list does 11 kilowatts. Why is it important? Well, you've got an LFP battery. Now, the LFP battery means that you can charge 100% almost all the time without any problems. But even if you had an NMC battery, and this is where this information is really important, you're not rapidly charging the car. So the AC charging 22 kilowatts is less likely to degrade your car, which means even if you're driving an NMC battery, you're more likely to be able to charge up to 90% because it's an AC charger. Whereas when you're doing a DC fast charging, it's what we call a flash charge. You're dumping high currents into a battery, which can degrade it quicker. Now, the degradation of the batteries, I want to put it into context for you. Even after about 10 years and 200,000 kilometers, most of the batteries that we have today will only degrade about 5 to 10%. So it's not as much as we make it out to be. It's just for you to understand that the degradation does occur. So in this particular segment, what I've just said, no car outpoints the Zeekr 7X in terms of AC charging. None of the cars outpoints it for DC fast charging either. And in terms of efficiency, it's only Tesla Model Y that actually outpoints it. So let's talk about structure and everything else. Boot space. Now, I don't use the boot space that Tesla brings forward because Tesla is the only car company in the world that says they're measuring the boot space to the roof of the car instead of to the seat level. The Tesla Model Y says 854, but take that with a pinch of salt. The car with the biggest boot space here is the IM6, which has got 665 liters. Best in class. Put the Tesla Model Y to one side. Best in class, IM6. Then you've got the Xpeng G6 at 571. Then you've got the BYD C-Line 7 at 558. And then the worst in this particular segment is actually the Zeekr 7X. And I will explain that when I'm talking about the wheelbase. Frunk. The Zeekr 7X has got a 62 liter frunk. The BYD C-Line 7 has got a 58 liter frunk. The Tesla's got a 117 liter frunk. It's best in class here. The G6 has got no frunk on the 2024 model, but it does have in the 2025 model. The IM6 has got a very little frunk, 32 liters, barely able to hold cables. Now, heads-up display, the base model of the Zeekr 7X does not have a heads-up display. The long-range version of the Zeekr 7X does. So if the heads-up display is not important to you, and Napa leather, which is one of the things that it does have, is important to you, then you need to go to the middle segment for the long range, but that's not being discussed here. The Sea Lion 7, I think the base model doesn't have I think it does have the heads-up display. Tesla, no heads-up display, no driver instrument cluster. The Sea Lion 7, heads-up display, driver instrument cluster. The Zeekr 7X, driver instrument cluster, it's got the biggest one, I think, 13.1. The Spec G6 does have a 10.25 driver instrument cluster. The IM6 does not have a heads-up display. It does have a driver instrument cluster, but it's a complicated one because it's got a 26-inch screen. And 13 inches of that is the driver instrument cluster, and 13 inches of that is your infotainment system. Now, it's a long one, which is not one of my favorites, I've got to be honest with you, but it's one that I'm getting used to. Let's put it that way. Now let's talk about the actual size of the car. The Zeekr 7X is 4.787 meters in length, 1.93 meters in width, 1.65 meters in height, and it's got a wheelbase of 2.9 meters. The Sea Lion 7 is bigger. It's got a 4.83 meter length, 1.29, so almost dead ringer for the width. It's got a 1.62 meter height because it's more of a coupe, but it's got a longer wheelbase. It's got a 2.93 meter wheelbase, which is also why I think it kind of gets the sweet spot, right? It's long enough to ensure you've got a decent boot size, and it's long enough to ensure that the interior is still very comfortable. Tesla Model Y comes in at 4.79 meters long. It's 1.93 meters wide. It's 1.65 meters in height, and it's got a wheelbase of 2.9 meters as well. The Spec G6 has got a 4.75 meter length, 1.92 meters in width. Again, very, very close, just 10 millimeter difference between it and the Zeekr 7X. It's got a 1.65 meter in height as well, very similar to the Tesla Model Y, but it's got a slightly smaller wheelbase at 2.89. Again, 10 millimeters different. The biggest in class here is the IM6. The IM6 is 4.9 meters in length. So the only car that comes close to it is the Sea Lion 7. It's got a width of 1.98 meters. So it's got a 50 centimeter width gap, 58 actually, over the closest of it here. It's tall as well, almost as tall as even slightly taller than the Tesla Model Y, because it's 1.67 meters, and it's got the longest wheelbase. It's 2.95 meters in terms of the wheelbase. Now, the interior. Now, this is really important. You've got Napa leather in the Sea Lion 7. You've got base model for this is PU for all the other cars. And the instrument cluster thing is one of those things that I find really, really annoying in the Tesla. Yeah, I'm not saying anything else. So based on everything I've told you, best in class at this particular point is probably going to be the Zeekr 7X. And I'll tell you simple reason why it's going to be best in class for me. The interior is more comfortable, even though they're all PU leather. The Sea Lion 7 has the best interior in this particular segment. However, specific touches in the car have been designed to make you feel a little bit more comfortable. But even with those specific touches that I've mentioned, you've got to also realize that the charging infrastructure there it's just class leading. Efficiency wise, it's right up there. You get 480 kilometers WLTP. Charging, it's whether AC or DC, it's well ahead of everything else in class. Interior, it's right up there. The only car that I would say probably has a slightly better interior than it is the Sea Lion 7, but it's got some touches in it that make it even superior to the Sea Lion 7. The IM6 is right up there in terms of comfort as well. Now, I'm going to say something that I should have said that I did not say. The IM6 has something that none of the other cars does. And I will put that into context for you. And for some people, it's enough to switch them off all the other cars that I've mentioned to the IM6. And I'm one of those people. The IM6 has got what we call rear steer. Now, the rear steer means it's got roughly about 6 to about 8 degrees angles in which the rear tires can move slightly different to the front tires. This means that the IM6 can crab walk. Now, for a lot of people, it means nothing. You don't need it. It doesn't mean anything to you. But if you're driving in the city, and if you live in an urban area, and you've got a family, and you've got to make sharp turns, if you live in Sydney, Melbourne, and you've got this car that has got the tech, and I'm going to put the tech into context for you. I've taken this car, I've done a sharp U-turn, and I think what I did was I was able to do that in about 9 or 10 meters. It's literally very sharp. And I got into the lane I wanted to get into. I didn't have to swing about. It was quick. I've also seen videos of people lock the steering and doing a 180-degree turn on the spot. So basically what you do to achieve that, I haven't tested it yet. I'm going to try and test it in the next 2 weeks. And once I test it out, I'll let you have the video. You lock the steering and then you press the accelerator gently. It will turn 180 degrees on the same spot because of the rear steer. And that is fantastic. And for a lot of people, that specific thing will be enough to get them to say, I want this car above everything else. And I'll explain why I said that is important. The cheapest car that I spent about 20, 30 minutes researching this, I couldn't find anything else. But if you do find another car, well, there was one, the Renault Megane, which you can, now not just the regular Renault Megane, the Renault Megane RS, you can option it in. And when you option it in, it does take the price up. But apart from the Renault Megane, the next car up that you probably will be able to find the rest, there will be Audi QS e-tron, which is a $160,000 car. The Porsche 911, which is about a $300,000 car. The S-Class Mercedes, another $300,000 plus car. And the Lamborghini Urus, which is about $350,000-$400,000 car. So the rear steer, I do forget, the Hummer H3 also has it. So when people are looking at what this cars can do, if you've got the rear steer in there for a car that's basically $61,000, yeah, it will sway a lot of people onto the IM6. I just thought I'd put that out there. So if I was going to rank the cars on the list that I've done today, price. Aha, I almost forgot price. So let's talk pricing. Cheapest car on this list, theoretically, would be the BYD Sea Lion 7. But overall, when you add delivery costs and everything else, then definitely it's the BYD Sea Lion 7. I think the drive-away price of the BYD Sea Lion 7 is $58,400 or $500 or something along those lines, and that's drive-away. Next in there is the Xpeng G6, which is roughly about $58,000 or $57,000 drive-away. The Xpeng G6 probably represents best value for money. Next, you've got the Tesla Model Y, which drive-away is about $66,000 or $67,000. No, That's the top. Next, you've got the IM6, which is $61,000 drive away. 61. Then you've got the Zeekr 7X, which is $64,000 drive away. In terms of value for money, I think the BYD does it. But because of the rare steer that is in the IM6, I probably have to give it to the IM6 because it's $61,000. All the prices I'm talking about are AUD, which is roughly, to put it in the context, roughly about 38,000 USD, for 38 to 40,000 USD, thereabouts. So value for money. Rare steer just puts the IM6 in that category. But in terms of overall package and everything that you get, the Zeekr 7X beats everything else because of everything, the whole package. Quicker charging, comfortable interior, good suspension, good handling. So it's a really good package. Now, so if you've liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. The next one I'm going to do will be the video comparing the top trim to see which one's best value. It will be same cars. The only thing that's going to be missing in this particular one will be the Xpeng G6, because the Xpeng G6 doesn't have a performance model available in Australia at the moment. So stay blessed. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.